This video is brought to you by Cool Green Clothing.
Don't know now, you know, man. Come check them out, man. Flat out.
Oh, they
That's
know now.
doing.
They waking up. They
That's
waking
all we
up.
doing.
They
You feel me?
waking
It's
up.
a whole lot of that shit going on right now. You dig?
All
You know what I
righty,
mean?
bro.
You see the hat dripping, you see the shirt dripping.
Exactly, my nigga dripping all on the cement out this
Get
bitch,
it right.
man.
You feel me? We dripping
my
all
man
that.
dripping all on the cement.
Yes, sir. You feel
Yes,
me?
man.
Yeah.
Show niggas how to do it, man.
Shout out, man. Shout out to Cool Green, man. You feel me? Variety of stuff, man. You feel me? Good dude for real. You know what I mean? His design is impeccable, man. You know what I mean? It speaks for itself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It speaks for itself for real.
For itself, man.
But who could really rock it like I rock it? You heard?
No one, man.
What's up, YouTube fam? It's your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 times, and I'm back with another video. Shout out to our sponsors, Cool Green Clothing, for sponsoring the Baltimore Way. Thank you so much for your support. In this episode of the Baltimore Way, we'll be discussing the case of two working girls whose lives were ended tragically, which resulted in the assailant receiving 2 life sentences. Before we get into this video, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. If you're new here, tap that notification bell to get notified every time we upload. If you're rocking with the content, smash that like button, comment down below and share your thoughts. Of course, always keeping it respectful. Feel free to share this video with everyone you know. Make sure you watch until the end to hear the full story. All right, let's go ahead and get right into it. On March 22nd, 2022, at approximately 12:42 a.m., Baltimore police were flagged down by a young woman on the 2400 block of Annapolis Road in the Westport neighborhood in Baltimore. The young woman led them back to the home where she found her family member, 21-year-old Danita Barrett, lying on her living room floor, unresponsive. Her body was covered with a towel that was placed on her by her family member who had found her. When medics arrived, the 21-year-old mother of 2 was pronounced deceased at the scene. The medical examiner would later confirm she passed away from asphyxiation. Police labeled her death as suspicious. Family members of Danita Barrett told police that she was operating as a working girl at her home and her dates were solicited through text apps. The last conversation in Danita's phone was from March 21st, the day investigators believe she had died. Danita discussed prices and times to meet with a man who was a possible suitor that night. Investigators continued to gather evidence and began their investigation into what happened to Danita Barrett. 6 days later, on March 28, 2021, at approximately 11:30 a.m., an employee of the Deluxe Plaza Hotel in the 6400 block of Pulaski Highway called 911. The employee reported finding an unresponsive woman in a room after the occupants in that room did not check out that morning. Police officers and medics found the woman laying face down on the floor when they arrived. She was pronounced deceased at the scene. The victim was identified as 37-year-old Ashley Lambert, a mother of 4. According to charging documents, the room Ashley Lambert stayed in was paid for by an unidentified person who was not involved in her slaying. Ashley's death was ruled as asphyxiation and classified as a homicide according to charging documents. According to later news reports, while investigating Ashley Lambert's death, police used surveillance camera footage recovered near the motel and saw Ashley with an unidentified man. Investigators tracked the man's movement to a nearby donut shop. While looking into the purchase he made with a Visa debit card, Police obtained a receipt from the purchase, and they were able to identify the man as 22-year-old Christopher Tyson and confirmed it after they subpoenaed his bank statements. In addition, the charging documents state police were able to track Christopher Tyson's cell phone to a residence in the 2200 block of Bryant Avenue. The news report continued to say that officers were able to obtain a search warrant for the home. Charging documents state when no one answered, officers used a battering ram to enter the residence. Officers found Tyson on the second-floor apartment, and he was arrested without incident. Once police began to question Christopher Tyson, he initially gave several different versions of events that contradicted the evidence. Investigators had recovered at the motel and inside his residence. However, investigators wrote when Christopher Tyson was shown the images recovered from that surveillance footage they obtained, he identified himself as the person seen in the images. He ultimately confessed to the slaying of Ashley Lambert. On April 26, 2021, almost a month after Ashley's slaying, 22-year-old Christopher Tyson was charged with first-degree and second-degree murder in connection with Ashley Lambert's death. Police had also listed him as a person of interest in a similar case. However, at the time, officials did not say what case they were referring to. 3 days later, on Thursday, April 29, 2021, police identified what that other case was. Christopher Tyson was a person of interest in the connection to Danita Barrett's slaying, the 21-year-old woman who was found deceased in her home 6 days before Ashley Lambert's body was found. However, police had not yet released what evidence led them to implicating Christopher Tyson in Danita's death. Later that evening, police released his booking photo. They said they did this in hopes it would encourage other possible victims to come forward. Detectives did not rule out the possibility that Christopher Tyson could have committed other acts where the victims may not have reported the incident. At the time, homicide detectives were investigating why he targeted Ashley and Danita. According to the Baltimore Sun, Christopher Tyson faced previous charges of violence, especially against women, including an open case at the time in Anne Arundel County where he allegedly stabbed his sister and brother in October 2021. Police said in that incident, he punched his sister several times after she asked him to get off a couch at the house where he and his siblings were staying. According to reports, when his two brothers intervened, police say Christopher Tyson grabbed a weapon from the kitchen and stabbed his sister and one of his brothers in their right arms before he fled the scene. He was charged with multiple charges, but the most serious assault charge was dropped by prosecutors. He was put on house arrest, but months later, a judge granted that he be released on his own recountenance on February 5, 2021, on the condition he stayed with an aunt in Severn, Maryland. Back then, he had shown up for a court date on March 31st. 3 days after Ashley Lambert's body was discovered. The news reports went on to say that prior to that incident with his siblings, Christopher Tyson had numerous cases, open and closed, where he was charged with assault against women in 2020. A couple of those cases involved his girlfriend at the time. Police reports say that officers had to physically separate him and his girlfriend in an altercation in January 2020. He was charged but then acquitted a month later, court records show. In March 2020, police received a disorderly conduct call alleging Mr. Tyson and a woman had been arguing. Charging documents state that Mr. Tyson slapped the woman during the argument and he was charged with assault again. In August 2020, a judge placed that case on an inactive docket. I also read about a case that happened in February 2019, where a woman going into a gas station witnessed Mr. Tyson allegedly arguing with the woman and screaming at her. When the woman returned to her car, she told police she saw Mr. Tyson punch the woman he was screaming at, knocking her unconscious. The woman got out of her car and approached Mr. Tyson, allegedly, and told him to move away from the unconscious woman. She said in the report that she was going to call the police. According to reports, when Mr. Tyson saw the woman calling the police, he swung at her face, which only lightly struck her because she reacted quickly. The woman then got back in her vehicle and locked the doors. The report went on to say that Mr. Tyson then picked up the unconscious woman, dragged her back to the car, and tried to wake her up, all while the woman who witnessed what had happened took pictures of the situation while she was on the phone with police. It didn't stop there. The report went on to say that eventually the unconscious woman regained consciousness and both she and Mr. Tyson allegedly approached the woman's car. After an unsuccessful attempt to enter the woman's car, the report says Mr. Tyson sat on the hood of the car. The woman was able to drive away a short distance until the police arrived. The report said by that time, Mr. Tyson and the woman had left the scene. The woman showed police the photographs she had taken of what happened, along with the license plate of the car the woman, who he allegedly knocked unconscious, was driving. With that information, police obtained a photograph of Mr. Tyson from the woman who witnessed the alleged crimes, and she positively identified him. A jury found him guilty of assault in that case. The court sentenced him to 5 years imprisonment with all but 18 months suspended in favor of 4 years probation. Christopher Tyson would go on to appeal the court's decision in October 2021, claiming that the court abused its discretion in admitting certain photographs into evidence. However, the court subsequently denied his appeal. Now, as the investigation continued into Ashley Lambert and Danita Barrett's case, police revealed that Christopher Tyson had arranged to pay for a date with Danita Barrett. According to reports, detectives found a cell phone, later identified as Christopher Tyson's, and 2 unwrapped male contraceptives on a couch located near Danita. The forensic investigators saw no signs of visible trauma after arriving at the scene, but charging documents later revealed that there were visible injuries to her face and neck. According to reports, police also linked Danita's last conversation in her phone to Christopher Tyson. Police say he was the man she was negotiating prices and times to meet with that day. When detectives initially questioned him, Christopher Tyson admitted to police that he used apps to solicit women who operated as working girls. He initially denied asking Danita Barrett for a date, but later admitted that he went to her residence to have intimate relations with her. He went on to tell police he began joking with her about her line of work. He allegedly called her out her name and said she became angry and attacked him. According to reports, he admitted to restraining Danita around her neck until she passed out. He said he checked for a pulse before he left her home and thought she was still alive, charging documents said. In Ashley Lambert's case, after Christopher Tyson admitted that he was the person in the images police obtained from the camera footage, he also told police he met Ashley online and agreed to pay to be intimate with her. According to reports, Christopher Tyson told detectives they got into an argument and he strangled her with a chokehold. The medical examiner's office later found blood on her face. They noted that it appeared that she had not dressed herself and determined that she was suffocated to death with a maneuver-like chokehold, reports said. He was charged with 2 first-degree murder charges in connection with both Ashley Lambert and Danita Barrett slaying and was awaiting trial. After more than 2 months of plea negotiations, Christopher Tyson rejected the prosecution's plea offer in front of a judge on November 18, 2021. In court that day, a judge listened as the prosecution presented a plea of 2 concurrent life sentences for the charges against Christopher Tyson. The next trial date was set for May 10, 2022. On Tuesday, May 10, 2022, during a plea hearing for Christopher Tyson, prosecutors recounted for the court what they said happened to both 21-year-old Danita Barrett and 37-year-old Ashley Lambert. The families of the 2 women slain wept in the gallery of the 4th floor courtroom when their loved one's alleged killer accepted 2 concurrent life sentences with the possibility of parole. On Tuesday morning, the family members of Danita Barrett and Ashley Lambert consoled one another and addressed the court. "You tore my family apart," Danita's sister said, looking at the defendant through tears. Danita's grandmother also spoke, adding that Danita's 2 children won't grow up with a mother and that she cries every time she looks at them because they look so much like her. A member of Ashley Lambert's family told the court that she felt bad for Christopher Tyson's parents. "I don't wish him to be killed," she told the judge. "I'm not that kind of person, but I know God is going to take care of him in the end." She also acknowledged Christopher Tyson's eligibility for parole, saying that if he gets out of jail, he'll be right back to where he started. Ashley Lambert's family said she loved music, travel, and was known for her sense of humor, the report said. They said Ashley enjoyed road trips with her nieces while listening to her favorite tunes. Christopher Tyson apologized to both families. The Baltimore Sun reported that he was being defended by the Office of Public Defender on R-word charges stemming from an incident that happened approximately a month after Danita Barrett's and Ashley Lambert's slayings. The Sun said the same prosecutor that handled that case was prosecuting the R-word case against Christopher Tyson. However, an article from Baltimore Witness Online says, as a result of Mr. Tyson's pleas, the prosecution agreed to dismiss another case against him involving the R-word, unlawful offenses, assault, armed robbery, theft, and the use of a deadly weapon in a 3rd incident that occurred on April 24, 2021. The prosecutor said the victim in that case said she felt lucky to be alive and didn't want to take away from those who didn't survive by pursuing those charges. The article went on to say that at the conclusion of the hearing, Christopher Tyson's defense attorney informed the court that they will file a motion to modify his sentence and requested he serve his time at the Productionz Institution for Mental Health Issues. The judge said they needed more time on the institution before making a ruling. This story is terribly heartbreaking. Before you go judging these women and their profession they chose to make a living, please be sensitive to the fact that they had family and friends that loved and cared for them. They were mothers, daughters, sisters, aunts, and much more. The man accused of taking their lives had no right to take their lives so viciously, to make fun of what they did when he was the one who allegedly solicited them for their services. I believe that Christopher Tyson is a sociopath with absolutely no regard for life. My opinion is he has a vendetta, a real hatred for women, period. He thought he was superior to them and that he had the right to use violence when he couldn't control them. I know that he will get his eternal judgment one day, and he will have to answer for what he did to those women. May Danita Barrett and Ashley Lambert rest in peace. My deepest and sincerest condolences to their family and loved ones, respectively. I pray that they receive some closure and peace in all this. I pray for their children and that God may guide their paths as they navigate life after such tragedy. All right, fam, please leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you would like, share some encouraging words to the family of the victims or to anyone who has gone through this type of horrific experience. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We appreciate the support. Thank you so much for watching. This is your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 Times, and I'm out.